And let's just talk about what we heard there from Judge Boasberg. Certainly a thorn in the president's side in this second term, but really, really scathing reprimand there.
It was, Jonathan. You know, Judge Boasberg is the judge that MAGA loves to hate. You remember he blocked the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia and then threatened the administration with contempt of court for not turning those planes around. And he was right back then that the administration's power to deport is limited by the Constitution. And he's right now that a prosecutor's power to issue grand jury subpoenas is limited by the law and the federal rules of criminal procedure. You've got Rule 17C2 that says that a court may quash or modify a subpoena if compliance would be unreasonable or oppressive. And this almost never happens, though, because prosecutors only have a minimal burden here. You don't even need probable cause. You just have to have a good faith argument how the evidence you're seeking is relevant to potential criminal activity. But it has to be in good faith. And Judge Boasberg used Trump's words against him to show that this was about political pressure and retribution. And Jeanine Pirro couldn't say that she's independent of Trump. The DOJ has openly said that they work for the president. And after all, there's a banner in front of the Justice Department with Trump's picture on it. And this is also where the previous prosecutions of Letitia James and James Comey come back to haunt Trump, because Judge Boasberg noted that this is a pattern. So you don't get the benefit of the doubt here. And he concluded that there's a amount of evidence that suggests the dominant purpose is to pressure Powell to lower rates or to resign. And since this is not a proper purpose, the subpoenas were blocked.
If he's going to post the corrupt intent, it's going to make it very hard for those cases to go forward. Judge Boasberg here seems to me to be just kind of grasping the obvious with both hands in his opinion.
John, you're so right. Trump was literally hoisted with his own petard, to use a Shakespeare reference, especially because yesterday was the Ides of March, Julius Caesar. So this was a self-inflicted wound. Trump put out all these statements, and you know it's going to be rough for you when the opening lines of a judge's ruling is feeding Trump's own words back to the prosecutors. I mean, he leaned on Trump's own words, said, I have common sense like everyone else here. I don't have to put my head in the sand, and we see what's going on here. And then the question is, what will the Supreme Court do? Because Pirro said that she's going to appeal this, and then you worry about the Supreme Court with its extreme deference to executive power. But in that tariff ruling recently, Chief Justice Roberts seemed like he's lost some patience with Trump, and he didn't give the president anywhere near the deference he gave him in the immunity ruling. And so I think this ruling will hold up on appeal, especially because you've seen other rulings by the Supreme Court that show that they put the Fed in a unique place, a special bubble that protects them. You remember when President Trump fired the heads of various agencies, the Supreme Court said, well, the Fed is different. And so that's why I think that when this gets to the Supreme Court, if it ever does, that the Supreme Court is going to uphold Judge Boasberg's ruling.